It's midnight and you are watching Nightline with me, Sabrina Zainal. The headlines. Tackling cost of living, next on government's agenda. And MECC nabs aid to Human Resources Minister. Good morning. We begin with the story. The Human Resources Ministry will give its full cooperation to the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MECC, following the arrest of a senior officer from the ministry earlier on Thursday. Its minister, V. Sivakumar, said he took note of the matter. However, he would not comment on the case as it is still being investigated by the graft buster. In a statement, Sivakumar also urged the media against making any assumptions about the arrest of his aide or speculations that can affect any party until the investigation has been completed. MECC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azambaki on Thursday confirmed the arrest of a senior officer to Sivakumar. He said MECC officers had raided the ministry in the morning and detained another individual believed to be an agent to assist in the investigation of graft allegations involving a foreign worker recruitment agency. It was learned that the arrest was in connection with allegations that the suspect had set up a foreign worker recruitment agency to obtain approval from the ministry despite having a conflict of interest. Former political secretary to former Malacca chief minister was charged at the Ayakro Sessions Court with 12 counts of accepting bribes amounting to 408,736 ringgit in 2017 and 2018. The accused, Datuk Rosli Hassan, aged 52, claimed trial after the charges were read out to him before Judge Elizabeth Paya 1. On the first count, Datuk Rosli was alleged to have accepted a bribe of 323,736 ringgit in the form of renovation work on the house belonging to his wife in Taman Pokok Mangga between May 2017 and February 2018. On 11 other charges, he was also charged with accepting bribes in the form of credit card payments totaling 85,000 ringgit between May and October 2017. All of the bribes were allegedly an inducement to help a company secure a contract to design and build a mosque, multipurpose hall, shop lots, and a garbage dump in Mukim Bachang, worth 5.28 million ringgit. The charge under the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission Act 2009 carries a maximum jail term of 20 years and a fine of 10,000 ringgit or 5 times the value of the bribes, whichever is higher if convicted. The court then set May 16th for mention.
How do Takaful operators work on protection plans related to floods and other natural disasters? Which general Takaful segments have growth potential in the coming years? Will 2023 be a better year for the general Takaful industry? Money Matters speaks to Takaful Malaysia Arm CEO Muhammad Sabri Ramli this Saturday 5 p.m. only on TV3.
The Prime Minister chaired the first meeting of the National Action Council on Cost of Living, NACOL, to address issues affecting the people who have to deal with higher cost of living. One of the initiatives decided at the meeting to lighten the burden of the people, especially those celebrating Hari Raya Aidil Fitri, is the Shawwal Madani special sales. Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim said that it will be held at 113 Fama outlets nationwide from April 15th. The initiative is part of efforts to reduce the cost of food items, especially during the festive period. In a statement late Thursday, the Prime Minister said allegations that he was no longer focusing on the agenda to tackle cost of living was baseless. He pointed out that the NACOL meeting on Thursday was the first to be held this year, and its agenda is to deal with the cost of living. He noted that other initiatives decided in the meeting included FAMA's program to boost direct sales from farms at 2,000 locations this year, compared with 1,000 locations in 2022. This sale is expected to be beneficial to all levels of users, including traders, because the price offered is much lower, as it is carried directly from the source of supply. FAMA will also have special sales at 268 locations nationwide at farmers markets and rural transformation centers, RTCs. And for those traveling during the Eid al-Fitr, the International Trade and Industry Ministry, together with Proton and Produa, have launched the Rahmah package for motor vehicle service at a much higher price, cheap. At the meeting, the Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Ministry has presented the initial results of the pilot project for a border economy program for petrol supply project RON 95 and non-subsidized diesel. Various effects and impacts positive results have been obtained from the implemented pilot project in Perlis. The ministry will issue details of the achievements of this pilot project in 2 months. Datuk Sri Anwar, who is also the Finance Minister, said that the Finance Ministry, Economic Ministry and the Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Ministry are studying ways to expand targeted subsidies. A paper on the matter will be tabled at the National Economic Action Council, M10, at the next meeting. Speaking on another matter, Datuk Sri Anwar said the government will strive to protect the country and the people from falling into narrow racial conflicts. The Prime Minister said the government is going to put an end to the attempts by quarters to use identity politics to divide society. In a Facebook post on Thursday, Datuk Sri Anwar pointed out that the key to racial unity that the people in Malaysia have achieved so far was mutual respect. He added that this was also one of the important elements in developing Malaysia Madani. Also in the post, Datuk Sri Anwar wished the Siamese community in Malaysia a happy Songkran festival. In conjunction with the celebration, he also called on the Siamese community to unite with other Malaysians, as well as share goals and determination while maintaining unity and cooperation to develop the country. The household income eligibility limit to apply for Rumah Mesra Rakyat RMR has been raised to 5,000 ringgit from 3,000 previously. Local Government Development Minister Ngakor Ming said the move is to open up more opportunities for the people to apply for the housing scheme.
Tidak ada lagi menerusi permohonan, menerusi mana-mana ejen. Dia dibuat secara telus, transparent, boleh pergi ke website, terus memohon dan key in data dan secara virtual. Tidak ada lagi ejen untuk collect fees.
Elaborating, Nga said among RMR's new initiatives was the extension of the monthly installment period from 16 to 25 years with a fixed rate of 300 ringgit. Applicants could also choose 6 residential designs offered by Syarikat Perumahan Negara NHD SPNB. Other offerings include a certificate of recognition from SIRIM as an internationally recognized quality standard for all RMR units. Since 2002 until March 2023, SPNB has completed 56,002 RMR units nationwide. In the 2023 budget, the government allocated 358 million ringgit to SPNB to build 4,250 RMR units this year. The Australian government has been given the green light to release its final report over the high-profile plane crash known as the 66 tragedy, which killed the then Sabah Chief Minister Tun Fuad Stevens and 10 others 47 years ago. This was confirmed by Transport Minister Anthony Loke, who said the matter had been relayed by the ministry to the Australian government through the Australian High Commissioner to Malaysia.
Of course, Australian side is prepared to release the report from their end, but of course the Australian side respect our government because this accident happened in Malaysia, and they have asked for our opinion and our approval to release the report. As far as we are concerned, we have no objection. Okay, so it's up to the Australian government when to release the report.
Loke told this to reporters after attending the signing of a Memorandum of Agreement on Interim Stage Bus Support Fund, ISBSF, in Putrajaya on Thursday. When asked why the report on the plane crash was classified under the Official Secrets Act, OSA, for nearly 5 decades, Loke said he could not answer as it was the Standard Operating Procedure, SOP, adopted by the federal government at the time. However, the current government had decided to make public the report on the 1976 crash involving involving an Australian-made Nomad aircraft operated by Sabah Air to unveil the truth and facts for all parties, especially the affected families. The final report of the investigation into the crash was made available for the public on the Transport Ministry's website since Wednesday. Meanwhile, a total of 37 stage bus operators received subsidy assistance worth a total of 169.87 million ringgit under the ISBSF this year. Lok said a total of 26 companies had secured 3-year contracts, while 11 companies received 1-year contracts.
Namun saya ingin mengingatkan bukan semua pengendali akan dapat kontrak 3 tahun secara automatik. Hanya pengendali yang mencapai prestasi 70% dan ke atas dalam tempoh 2021 hingga 2022 sahaja akan dapat tempoh 3 tahun untuk kontrak baharu ini.
The ISBSF was introduced in 2012 to help stage bus operators cover daily operating costs, especially routes in rural areas, and continue services on less profitable routes with government subsidies. From 2012 to 2022, Lok said the government has allocated more than 1 billion ringgit to provide subsidies to the operators involved. He added that the government has also improved the ISBSF 2023 agreement contract, where operators have to comply with several things, including punctuality and the use of cashless payment system. The minister also warned that the government would not hesitate to cancel the contract if the bus operators fail to achieve the desired performance. North Korean missile launch sparks evacuation confusion in Japan. This and more from the foreign front when Nightline returns. We're back with the foreign front. North Korea has launched a possible new type of ballistic missile that landed in the waters between the Korean peninsula and Japan, prompting Tokyo to lodge a strong protest after fears the weapon might land in or near its northern island of Hokkaido led to an evacuation order. South Korea's Joint Chief of Staff, describing the launch as a grave and provocative act, said the missile was deployed on Thursday from a location near the capital, Pyongyang, at 7:23 a.m. The missile, suspected to be intermediate range or longer, flew about 1,000 kilometers in the direction of the waters between the Korean peninsula and Japan before falling into the sea. Seoul then convened an emergency meeting of its National Security Council condemning the North Korean test, and in Washington, D.C., the White House also criticized the launch, which it said was a brazen violation of multiple UN Security Council resolutions. Moving on, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, on Thursday strongly condemned a military airstrike this week on a village in Myanmar, which was reported to have killed up to 100 people, including civilians. The statement by the regional bloc came 2 days after news emerged of the attack on Pasigi village in Kanbalu Township, Sagaing region in the country's northwest. The 10-member bloc emphasized the crucial need to put an end to all forms of violence, particularly the use of force against civilians. It further said that this would be the only way to create a conducive environment for an inclusive national dialogue to find a sustainable, peaceful solution in Myanmar. ASEAN agreed a peace plan with the junta in 2021, but members have been increasingly frustrated by the military's failure to halt offensives and open dialogue with the resistance movement backed by ethnic minority armies and a shadow national unity government, which the junta has declared a terrorist movement. Gulf countries Qatar and Bahrain have agreed to restore diplomatic ties on Wednesday during the Bahraini-Qatari Follow-Up Committee's second meeting at the headquarters of the GCC General Secretariat in Riyadh. Now, the Bahraini delegation was headed by the Undersecretary for Political Affairs, Sheikh Dr. Abdullah bin Ahmed Al Khalifa, and the Qatari delegation was headed by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Ahmed Hassan Al Hamadi. The two sides affirmed that restoring ties stems from the mutual will to develop bilateral relations and enhance the Gulf unity and integration according to the GCC Charter and in respect of the principles of equality, national sovereignty and independence, territorial integrity, and good neighborliness between states. The restoring of the diplomatic relations came in accordance with the principles of the United Nations Charter and the provisions of the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations of 1961. The United States and Philippine troops held anti-tank missile exercises on Thursday as the allies stepped up their largest war games, which have already drawn China's ire. Under a plume of black smoke, 3 cars parked on scrubland were crushed by missiles fired from about 600 meters away by 3 soldiers at a military base in the north of the Philippines. Nearly 18,000 troops are taking part in the annual exercises, which for the first time will include the sinking by live fire of a decommissioned Philippine Navy warship in the South China Sea, waters that Beijing claims almost entirely. The exercise aims to boost Manila's military capability while serving as a U.S. show of support for its Asian ally amid China's growing assertiveness. It follows a deal announced last week for U.S. forces to use an increased number of bases in the Philippines, including one near Taiwan. Carlo Sinner advances, Ruud stunned. Sports right after this break.
Sempurnakan
Sports now. Yannick Sinner was made to toil by Hubert Hurkacz as the Italian 7th seed saved a match point to seal a 3-6, 7-6, 6-1 victory at the Monte Carlo Masters on Thursday and book his spot in the quarterfinals. Hurkacz broke Sinner's serve in the second game of the match to eventually seal the opening set 6-3, while the second set saw a fierce battle between the two with 4 breaks of serve and a tense tie-break in which Sinner saved a match point down 5-6 before winning the deciding game 8-6. The third set was a one-sided affair dominated by Sinner, who won the last 4 games to reach the Monte Carlo quarterfinals for the second year in a row. German qualifier Jan-Lennart Struff earlier stunned 4th seed Casper Ruud 6-1, 7-6, ending the Estoril champions' 9-match winning streak on clay stretching back to last July. Struff will next be up against Andrei Rublev. On to football. Sporting Braga beat second-tier SC Nacional 5-0 in the Taça de Portugal semi-final first leg on Wednesday. Both Simon Banza scored braces for the visitors, with Pizzi also on target for the Portuguese top-flight club, who will now be firm favourites to advance to the final. Racic broke the deadlock in the 24th minute before Pizzi doubled the lead 2 minutes before the break. Racic then scored from the spot in the 53rd minute after Banza was brought down in the box by Nacional defender Clayton. Braga was awarded another penalty in the 75th minute, and Banza stepped in to make it 4-0 before he added his second in the 91st minute for the 5-0 win. The other semi-C's defending champions, Porto, take on Famalicão. After this breather, unemployed man to hang for murder of 3-year-old niece. Thanks for staying with us. Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi'i Abdullah has failed in his application to obtain leave from the Kuala Lumpur High Court to file a counterclaim against the Inland Revenue Board, IRB's demand that he pays income tax arrears amounting to 9.41 million ringgit. Judicial Commissioner J.C. Rose Mawar Rosain dismissed Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi'i's application after finding that the defendant's counterclaim does not arise from the recovery of taxes, but from mala fide acts by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, and the Attorney General's Chambers, AGC, which does not fall within the set scope of the rule prohibiting counterclaim. The JC also said that whatever dissatisfaction over calculations of the taxes could be dealt with before the Special Commissioners of Income Tax. She said that Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi'i's claim that tax assessments were concocted mala fide by MACC and the AGC can be dealt with in another avenue. The JC said that there was a slew of case laws which indicated that the whole scheme of tax law in Malaysia is that payment demanded must be paid notwithstanding appeals, and that the principle of pay first, talk later is predominant. The JC also ordered the prominent lawyer to pay 5,000 ringgit in costs to the government. The court fixed July 26th to hear summary judgment by the IRB on behalf of the government against Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi'i. The lawyer filed the application in May 2021 on the grounds that, among others, the tax claim was an attack on him as a political victim in his capacity as a lawyer for former Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib Tun Razak, and was considered to be an UMNO lawyer, even though he was not.
I must thank my counsel, Harvey, Farhan, the two Farhans, yeah.
In Terengganu, the Kuala Terengganu High Court sentenced an unemployed man to death by hanging after he was found guilty of killing his niece 3 years ago. Judge Datuk Hassan Abdul Ghani meted out the punishment against 30-year-old Muhammad Safwan Ramli after the defense failed to raise reasonable doubt. Muhammad Safwan was charged with killing Nur Hafia Aufa Muhammad Takuddin, who was 3 years old at the time of the incident on January 27, 2020, at a house in Kemaman, Terengganu. He was charged under the Penal Code for murder. Datuk Hassan in his judgment said that although the defense said the accused had no intention of causing death as he heard voices, the court was of the view that the man was of sound mind when committing the act. Previously, the media reported that a 3-year-old girl was stabbed to death by her uncle in the chest using a vegetable cutter. The Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency, MMEA, has thwarted an attempt to smuggle 4.8 million sticks of Kretek cigarettes of various brands with a value of 3.3 million ringgit in the waters of Tanjung Gabang, Selangor, during an operation dubbed Ops Kas Pagar Laut on Tuesday. Its Acting Director General, Rear Admiral Datuk Saiful Lizan Ibrahim, said that the cigarette smuggling syndicate used a fishing boat believed to be from Indonesia, which was detected as a result of intelligence and assistance from the Malaysian Maritime Surveillance System at about 10:20 p.m. The fishing boat fled after realizing the presence of MMEA assets in the area. In the raid on the fishing boat, 455 large boxes filled with Kretek cigarettes of various brands under a canvas were recovered. 6 engines in the boat used in the smuggling attempt were also seized. The case is being investigated under the Customs Act 1967. And that concludes Nightline this time around. As we wrap up, let's take a look into the historic center of the Tunisian capital, Tunis, where bursts of light and music emanate from the winding alleyways throughout the month of Ramadan, where a mix of dance, beats, and even a fire show showcase the city's iconic landmarks to entertain residents and visitors alike. I'm Sabrina Zainal. Thanks for watching, and to our Muslim viewers, Selamat Bersahur.